In the early 18th century, France teetered on the brink of collapse. The kingdom, once the jewel of Europe, was drowning in debt, a legacy of the Sun King, Louis XIV. His lavish wars and opulent court at Versailles had left the treasury empty, the people starving, and the new regent, Philippe d'Orléans, desperate for a miracle. The air in Paris was thick with a sense of decay, the old world order crumbling under the weight of its own extravagance. For the common man, life was a grim cycle of toil and poverty, with no hope for upward mobility. Wealth was tied to land and lineage, a closed system guarded by the ancient aristocracy. The idea of creating wealth, of money making money, was not just foreign, it was seen as sorcery. The French economy was a stagnant pond, and the nation was sinking into it. But into this desperate landscape walked a man with a vision. A Scottish gambler, a convicted murderer, and a financial genius named John Law. He arrived in Paris not just with ideas, but with a promise, a new future, not just for the nobility, but for everyone. He saw the problem not as a lack of gold, but a lack of motion. He believed he could turn France's debt into its greatest asset, and in doing so, rewrite the very rules of money. The regent, out of options, was ready to listen. He was about to hand the keys to the French economy to a charismatic outsider, setting the stage for one of the most audacious and dangerous financial experiments in history. John Law's vision was revolutionary. He argued that a nation's wealth wasn't limited by the gold and silver in its vaults. True wealth, he claimed, was in trade, in industry, in the kinetic energy of an economy in motion. And the key to unlocking this energy? Paper money. In 1716, he established the Banque Générale, a private bank with a radical charter. It issued paper banknotes backed not by gold, but by the full faith and credit of the French government, specifically its massive debt. This was financial alchemy. Law allowed people to buy shares in his bank using government bonds, effectively swapping worthless state debt for valuable bank equity. Suddenly, old, dead paper had value. The public was cautious at first, but the convenience was undeniable. Unlike heavy coins, Law's notes were easy to carry and trade, and they were always redeemable for their face value in coin at the bank. Confidence grew. Commerce, starved for a reliable medium of exchange, began to stir. The bank's success was so profound that in 1718, the regent nationalized it, renaming it the Banque Royale. John Law was now at the helm of France's central bank. But this was only the first act. His true ambition lay across the ocean, in the vast, untamed wilderness of North America. He consolidated all of France's colonial trading companies into a single megacorporation, the Mississippi Company. He was granted a complete monopoly on all trade with the French colonies, from Louisiana to the Far East. This wasn't just a company. It was a parallel state, an economic empire with the power to mint coins, collect taxes, and manage the entire national debt. John Law had fused the power of the central bank with the speculative potential of a global enterprise. He had created a machine designed to generate limitless prosperity. The effect was instantaneous and electrifying. John Law, a master of public relations, launched a brilliant marketing campaign. He painted a utopian picture of the Louisiana Territory, a new Eden, overflowing with gold, silver, and precious gems. Maps were printed, showing bustling cities and rich mines where, in reality, there were only swamps and a few struggling outposts. He even paraded Parisian street dwellers, dressed as miners and settlers, through the city on their supposed way to the Promised Land. The public, starved for hope, bought it completely. The demand for shares in the Mississippi Company exploded. The price began to climb, slowly at first, then with astonishing speed. Everyone wanted a piece of the new world. A new word entered the French lexicon: millionaire. It was coined to describe the blacksmiths, butchers, and valets who, overnight, became fabulously wealthy by trading shares on a narrow Parisian street called the Rue Quincampoix. This street became the epicenter of the new reality. It was a chaotic, 24-hour marketplace where dukes rubbed shoulders with fishwives, all screaming bids, all united by a single intoxicating belief that the price could only go up. The social order was turned upside down. A man was seen hiring a hunchback to use his back as a writing desk to sign a contract. paying him a fortune for the service. Fortunes were made and lost in a single afternoon. John Law was hailed as a savior. He was the most powerful man in France, a wizard who had transformed a bankrupt nation into the richest on earth. The Banque Royale printed more and more banknotes to fuel the frenzy, allowing people to borrow money to buy more shares, which in turn drove the price even higher. It was a perfect, self-sustaining cycle of euphoria. For a brief, dazzling moment, it seemed that John Law had truly discovered the secret to infinite prosperity. But the dream was built on a foundation of paper. While the share price soared to dizzying heights, the Mississippi Company itself was generating almost no actual profit. Louisiana was not the paradise Law had promised. It was a mosquito-infested wilderness that swallowed colonists and capital with equal indifference. A few savvy investors, sensing the growing disconnect between the share price and the company's real value, decided to cash out. They began quietly selling their shares and demanding gold and silver coins from the Banque Royale in exchange for their paper millions. At first, it was a trickle. But fear is far more contagious than greed. As more aristocrats and early investors began to convert their paper wealth back into hard currency, the bank's reserves of gold and silver started to dwindle alarmingly. Panic began to set in. John Law, trapped in his own system, made a fatal mistake. To stop the sell-off, he tried to control everything. He issued edicts limiting the amount of coin a person could own, essentially outlawing gold and silver. He then devalued the shares and the banknotes in a series of confusing, desperate maneuvers designed to stabilize the price. But all it did was shatter public confidence. The magic was gone. The belief that had held the entire structure aloft simply evaporated. The public, who had once worshipped Law, now saw him as a charlatan. The rush to sell became a stampede. The Rue Quincampoix, once a scene of euphoric ambition, transformed into a riot. People who had been millionaires a week before were now destitute, their life savings reduced to worthless scraps of paper. The bubble had burst. In the ensuing crash, people were trampled to death in the crush to get to the bank. John Law, the savior of France, had to flee the country in disguise, his life in peril, escaping with nothing but the clothes on his back. The collapse of the Mississippi bubble left France in a state of profound shock. The financial system was in ruins, but the social and psychological scars ran even deeper. An entire generation had learned to distrust the very concepts of paper money, banking, and stock markets. The word bank became a curse in France for nearly a century. The aristocracy, having lost fortunes, grew even more rigid and resistant to change. While the common people were left bitter and cynical, their dreams of a new economic order dashed. This deep-seated suspicion of financial innovation would cripple the French economy for decades, arguably contributing to the social tensions that would eventually explode into the French Revolution. John Law's experiment was a catastrophic failure, a cautionary tale of hubris and the dangers of a speculative mania untethered from reality. Yet within the wreckage of his grand vision, there were seeds of the future. Law was not entirely wrong. He had correctly identified the power of credit and the need for a more dynamic, fluid economy. His ideas about central banking and the use of paper currency were centuries ahead of their time. He demonstrated, however disastrously, that wealth was not just a static pile of gold, but could be a dynamic flow of capital and confidence. The Mississippi bubble serves as a timeless lesson. It reminds us that markets are driven by human emotion, by greed and fear, hope and panic. It shows how quickly a dream of infinite prosperity can become a nightmare of financial ruin when it loses its connection to real, tangible value. John Law's story is a powerful reminder that every financial revolution, every new paradigm, carries with it both incredible promise and immense risk. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into financial history fascinating, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more stories about the ideas that shaped our world.